Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports, Stare Down Greatness, and man, oh man, did we see some greatness this weekend. Great weekend for the state of Indiana when it comes to the Colts and the Hoosiers. For the rest of the world, the 4 o'clock slate for NFL, kind of meh. 1 p.m. slate, pretty nice. College football, delivered again like it always does. And man, oh man, was it a fun weekend of football. So today I'm going to go over the NFL Week 10, just kind of recap some of the scores, what happened there, so go over some of the news, and then we're going to look at the betting market for some of the futures, like the MVP, division leaders, just stuff like that. And I will say, before we get there, looks like the books were right about the Ravens the whole time. Eesh, Steelers. Anyway, though, and then after that we'll talk college recap, look at some of the scores there, go over the top 25, and then potentially look at the college football playoff, and we'll look at last week's college football playoff, what the committee put out, and then we'll talk about some of the changes we might see tonight. But let's just hop into it. Perfect way for the weekend to end NFL-wise. Start off with the 10-7 game, ended with the 10-7 game. The first of the 10-7 game was the Eagles, or not the Eagles, excuse me, that was a Monday night game. It was the Broncos versus the Raiders. Broncos pulled out the win 10-7. Ashton Jeanty started off the scoring in the first quarter, and then Bo Nix had a touchdown pass in the second quarter. There's a field goal kicked in the third quarter, and that was it. Both these games, both the Thursday and the Monday night game, very, very defensive battles. Both defenses really came to play. For this game specifically, you're starting to look at it a little bit, and I already started to question Bo Nix a little bit, but now it's really starting to get like, okay, what is going on with you, dude? I don't know if it's a scheme thing. I don't know if it's the plays they're running. I don't know if it's just him, but he has just not looked right these last couple of weeks, and he's not been playing to the best of his ability, it feels like. So you're just kind of wondering, like, this was a division game, so you can't look into it too much when it comes to that, but when he's done it for a couple weeks now in a row, it's like super slow start, then gets it going, super slow start, then gets it going. This week it was just slow start all the way throughout, and then was able to kind of have little moments here and there. It's just, it's the ebbs and the flows of the NFL season, so you're going to have games occasionally like this, but it's just a big overall thought for him. And then when it comes to the Raiders, Geno Smith just has no time. The offensive line is bad at this point, and I know Geno Smith isn't totally not to blame, but yeah, the offense is just really, really bad up front, and that kind of affects him everywhere else. And then Brock Bowers only having one reception for 30 yards. That can't happen. You have to get that guy the ball more, so bad loss for the Raiders. They're looking like they might be the only team in that division not to make the playoffs, which it's been a rough year for the Raiders. What are they officially now? Officially, they are 2-7. Broncos go to 8-2. I think them and the Colts are tied for first, but Colts over them because of the tiebreaker. But speaking of that game, Colts 31-25 victory in Berlin, and man, Jonathan Taylor. Round of applause for that guy. He had one of the best games you'll see out of a running back. Colts win 31-25, and I first looked at this as like, the Colts are in a game with the Falcons, but I'm going to take a step back. Their offensive line did have some struggles, so that being the Colts for a bit, but overall, I'm going to look at this game more like, I understand the Falcons are 3-6, but there's different versions of the Falcons. Like, there's the Falcons that, when they're on, they play really, really well, and everyone but Michael Penix pretty much did that Sunday, and then there's other games where the whole team as a whole is just stinky doo-doo. But not this Sunday. The Falcons are pretty good. Just watching them on the field, they're able to get stuff going in the run game. Michael Penix did miss a good amount of throws, which that kind of ended up costing them a little bit. And I thought Sauce Gardner had a pretty decent game. Everyone's talking about that one play where he stumbled against Drake London. Other than that, I truly do not remember him too much from the game overall, which is a really good sign from a corner usually. There was some plays where he's trailing behind a guy and tackling late, but you got to imagine for him, that was a whirlwind of a weekend. It was just nice to get the guy in the field because he's talented. Get him at least get a feel in some game action, and he helped them win. He did enough to help them win, almost had a pick. But overall, going to be very happy, especially because now the Colts are on bye, so they have 2 full weeks to get him integrated and everything. But man, the main event, Jonathan Taylor. 32 carries, 244 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, a long of 83, which that touchdown was insane. I watched him run up the middle, and it was one of those just kind of like, oh man, I was just kind of sitting back on the couch, kind of watching, just waiting for him to fall forward for like 6 yards potentially. And then you just watch him bounce it out, and it's just kind of like, hold on, wait a minute. I mean, Tyler Warren, he had some awesome catches as well. Just Jonathan Taylor, man. Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren are by far the two biggest pieces of one in the game. When Daniel Jones needed it, he was able to get it. He got sacked 7 times, so I'm hoping the Colts can kind of figure out that struggle a little bit on the offensive line because we've had issues getting sacked the last couple of weeks. But besides that, I mean, Daniel Jones 7 for 53, happy about that. But Jonathan Taylor should be the MVP. We'll talk about it more in the odds section. But I believe he's now 3rd overall. We'll take We'll tease it a little bit. We'll get into that part. Last I looked, he was in 3rd place, and sadly, yeah, he's still in 3rd place. And something I am sad about, Matt Stafford and Drake May are now tied with plus 300 each. Really wish I got some Matt Stafford MVP odds. That's one guy I'll admit I should have taken. I'm mad at myself for not taking him when he was at 20 to 1. I didn't take it. And now it just feels like it's way too late with him being at plus 300. But I think Jonathan Taylor should have it should be a race. I know Drake, that feels right. Maybe Drake May drop him a little bit and put Stafford and Taylor above him. That would be my personal opinion. But I think this is a good 3-headed monster for that race right now. All 3 of those guys are playing absolutely insane. But Colts win, like I said, 31-25 against a tough Falcons team. Like I said, this was a good version of the Falcons. I thought they played pretty well on Sunday. They damn near probably should have won that game if Michael Penix. But we know the thing about ifs and buts. But if Michael Penix plays better, there's a good chance for them to potentially win that game. There was like 4 or 5 massive throws where he just missed it, threw it short, threw it behind the guy, and it's just like, that felt like that was the one they really needed to have. And now the Falcons fall to 3-6. Colts improved to 8-2 going into the bye. They sit in a great spot. The Ravens, they won 27-19 against the Vikings. JJ McCarthy actually had some moments in the game, but it's starting to be like one of those things with him where he has some moments, some other plays where he looks really, really like a rookie, best way to put it. And then there's other plays where it's just like, what the fuck was that? Like that, Justin Jefferson did trip on one. There's another one where he just threw it. It's one of those things where they don't have a moment like where you can say that same phrase again, but in a great way because he has an awesome play and runs for a touchdown. But overall, it feels like the Ravens are just that team that's starting to get a little bit of momentum. Their defense played really, really well throughout. And then I think offensively Lamar Jackson just kind of had a bad game. I think that's the reason why they weren't able to put up a little bit more, but they were able to do enough to win. Vikings offensively, I don't want to judge them too much yet, but I have questions. JJ McCarthy, he finished with, I accidentally closed it out, 20 for 42, 248, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Not the best. I'd like to see a little bit more on JJ McCarthy before I judge the Vikings fully, but they're a weird team at this point. The Ravens are 4-5. The Vikings are 4-5 at this point, and 4-5, the Ravens are 2nd in their division. Vikings are 4-5 and 4th in their division. Just 2 completely different worlds between the AFC North and the NFC North right now. Honestly, we can talk about this ass beating very quickly. Dolphins win 30-13. I just want to give them their props. They came to play. They looked really, really good throughout this game. And this was one of those games. They just got the Bills. Absolutely just got the Bills. They kind of reminded us all that, hey, we are an NFL team, and any given Sunday, any NFL team can win. The Bills just looked like horrible. That's the best way to put it. They looked horrible. If you're able to shut down James Cook, you're kind of able to shut down the offense. It's starting to look like. And this was a divisional game, but 30-13 loss to the Dolphins, that's a loss where you now start to look at the Bills and be like, okay, what is really going on with you guys? Because you guys shouldn't be losing by that much. And Devon Achane, shout out to him. Amazing game. 22 for 174 and 2 touchdowns. What was I going to say? Derrick Henry and I think Bijan maybe was the other one. I think it was Bijan, but Bills defense is starting to give up a lot of stuff on the ground. So it's starting to look like, yeah, that defense is beyond suspect at this point. We could probably let's burn through these 4 o'clock games real quick. Then we'll jump back to the 1 o'clocks just because the 4s were blowouts. Rams won 42-26. The 49ers were able to score a touchdown with 2 minutes left to make it look a little bit prettier. But Matt Stafford, 280 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. He's been on a 5-game tear lately that has it's made him look like an MVP. Along with, it's Devontae Adams. I guess I don't know how to say it, man. He's just been awesome for the Rams. They're just using him in the goal line. It just feels like anytime they get in the red zone, it's like, all right, we got Puka Nacua over here. He's getting looked at, and it's like, all right, let's get Devontae Adams 101, and let's option route. You choose what you want to do. George got out a good game, caught all 9 targets for 84 yards and a touchdown himself, but the Rams were just too much for the 49ers in this game, especially that defense that is not the best at this point with all the injuries they've had. So the 49ers are now, they fall to 6-4. Rams improved to 7-2, somehow still second in their division. I mean, that's another division that has 3 really, really solid teams. And then the Cardinals, who 44-22. This game was 35-0 pretty much before it was. I mean, you blinked, it was 35-0. The same play basically happened defensively twice, where one defender, these are the same 2 guys involved in the play. I forget what the first guy's name was. Terrence Knight? But it was Knight sacks him, hits the ball out of his hands, picked up by DeMarcus Lawrence. He scores a scoop and score touchdown twice. Same dude twice, basically on the same play. And yet, like I said, they just pounded them early. They really didn't get to use Rashid Shaheed because they didn't need to. They absolutely just pounded the Cardinals. Cardinals were able to get some stuff late to make it a little bit prettier. But like I said, this game was 35-0. Seahawks just absolutely jumped them early. And yeah, that defense is... Seahawks are a really good team. They're starting to look like, hey, they might be a problem in the NFC, but it's one of those things where we're going to just have to see Sam Darnold in the playoffs because we saw what he did last year. I want to say this feels a little bit different, but I'd like to see it first still. And that's, I think it's starting to get to that point with the Seahawks. It's like, all right, so they're going to be a team for sure in the playoffs. It's just, are they going to be in play for the 1 seed? And what do we get from Sam Darnold as the season goes on? That's what I want to keep my eyes on. But this offense is so talented, man. And I guess my big question is, fantasy-wise, you look at Kenneth Walker, and it's like, why are they using everyone else in the goal line? So it makes you wonder if they're going to move on for him potentially this season, or after the season, excuse me. But that's a way off-season topic that I just kind of am looking at myself. Just obviously being a fantasy player as well. You just kind of notice, like, all right, Charbonnet got used a lot in the goal line. They even brought in another back, Kenneth Walker, being used elsewhere. It's just like, do they move on from Kenneth Walker? That's just a question I have. But they're a 7-2 team. I don't think I need to bring that up right now. They're playing really good football, so I'm going to leave that where it is. Lions, 44-22. They are improved to 6-3. Commanders fall to 3-7. Lions scored on every offensive drive they had the ball. It looked like Dan Campbell was calling plays. Very curious to see how long that continues, or if that's just going to be an rest of the season thing now. But with him calling plays, everyone did get involved. But this also was the Commanders' defense that has struggled mightily this season. So at this point, I don't know what to fully... we'll have to wait another game. They play the Eagles on Monday night. I feel like that's going to be a good evaluation of Dan Campbell's play calling to see, like, all right, was it just because you're playing the Commanders' defense, or are you guys actually scheming something up and the offense is improving? Because that is one area they wanted to look at. For the 4th blowout, we'll just go to the Monday Night Football. Chargers win 25-10. Not going to lie to you, this was a game that I fell asleep and chose to go to bed towards... I think it was like 8 to 7 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. It just got to the point where you started to feel it with the game where it's like, all right, I've watched these Steelers enough to know, like, I know how this game's going to go. So I just went to bed, and sure enough, they lose 25-10. So I basically just missed Vidal's touchdown, which I'm kind of sad about as his fantasy owner. But other than that, yeah, I mean, you just saw the game was. The Chargers just came to play. They looked really, really good. I truly thought the pass rush for Pittsburgh, the way it looked against the Colts, I thought they were going to be able to replicate that in this game. They did not at all. And, yeah, the Chargers ended up pounding them a bit. And now it's to the point where it's like, all right, the Steelers, they lost their chance of winning the division, I think. I don't know if they can. Their schedule isn't the easiest, and the Ravens have a really, really nice schedule. So this was a game I felt like they should have taken an opportunity to win. They did not, which now going forward is kind of just like, yeah. I don't know how to evaluate the Steelers team. They're probably going to hit their season win total over and be 9-8 and go into the playoffs, but yeah, I don't know if they're going to win the division now with how tough a schedule they have remaining. And shout out to Keenan Allen. He says a new Chargers all-time reception record with 956, surpassing Antonio Gates. Congrats to him. He is for sure going to be a Hall of Famer, most likely. And if he's not that, he's at least for sure going into the Chargers Ring of Honor, if I had to guess. We'll go to this game next. Bears-Giants. Giants fall to 2-8. Bears improve to 6-3. Caleb Williams. Shout out to him. The Giants end up leading for a lot of this game, and then like they've done a lot this season, they blew the lead, and they blew another double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. And Caleb Williams finished with 20 for 36, 220, 1 touchdown. Bears actually look pretty decent on offense. It's one of those things where it's like, hey, Bears are 6-3. Okay, Bears. Okay, Bears. And then you look at the rest of their schedule: Vikings, Steelers, Eagles, Packers, Browns, Packers, 49ers. And then they end the season with the Lions. So they're 6-3. They could beat the Vikings at 7-3. They're home for the Steelers. We'll just say maybe 8-3. Lose to the Eagles. Nope. 8-4. Lose to the Packers. We'll just say 8-5. Beat Browns 9-5. I mean, are we looking at a 10-win Bears team? I'm not going to jump the gun just yet, because some of the teams they have beat are a little bit questionable when you look back at it. But overall, I'm going to be happy for I'm going to be happy and positive for the Bears fans, because they have had it really, really rough. Their team's looking pretty good. Pretty good, though. I mean, there's still some issues to be had overall. I mean, to be fixed overall, but they're fine. They aren't good. Or, sorry, let me rephrase it. They aren't great and amazing. They aren't horrible. They're fine. And they're going to keep improving under Ben Johnson. Very excited to see what they do next year. I still think they're kind of building this year and trying to figure out, like, okay, what pieces are we missing to go into next year? And if Caleb keeps progressing like this, like we're going to start seeing, I think, he's already making the improv plays and everything. If he can keep progressing and keep getting better in the system, we might see a special guy, man. Because he has enough of the talent and enough of the ability to make some of these throws that he could be a guy. And hey, Bears fans have been dying for a quarterback to throw for over 4,000 yards. Caleb Williams might just be able to do that. He's 2,100 this year. I don't know what he's on pace for, but he might just be able to do that. And then for the Giants, the big news to talk about them, obviously, is Brian Daboll is fired. I think the biggest thing is partially due to the record. Apparently, he's the losingest coach in Giants history, which was a insane fact for me to learn. It's like, man, Giants have had some really, really, really bad coaches. And you're telling me Brian Daboll is the worst of all of them? And then I think partially the reason, too, Jackson Dart's being evaluated for his 4th concussion this year. I didn't realize he's being evaluated for his 4th. So, I mean, he was getting ran to the ground. Brian Daboll was trying to save his job and do everything. But after the blown leads, getting Jackson Dart hurt a little bit, the season already pretty much in the pooper. I mean, the writing was kind of on the wall. I think a lot of us thought this was going to happen a lot sooner, too, anyway, so shout out to him for making it this long. But he's going to end up going somewhere else, and he's going to make a pretty decent OC there, and he might even make a pretty decent head coach. I just don't think he's set up for success in the Giants. And then just they're fine. I mean, they're just now, I feel like, starting to get a decent amount of the pieces, but it's not solely just, I'm not saying he was an amazing part of the Giants, but it's not solely just on him. You got to wonder if the GM might be gone, too, at this point here soon, so a lot of questions for the Giants, especially after a game that, if Jackson Dart stays in the game, though, if I'm being honest, I feel like they win the game. Second rush came in the game, I think everyone kind of, I know for sure, me at least, was kind of like, oh, yeah, that's probably game for the Giants. Saints, they actually won 17-7 over the Panthers, and the Panthers just looked like they were not prepared at all for this game, and starting to sound like what it was. I think one of the players came out and basically said something along the lines of, like, yeah, when you don't take the game plan too seriously or whatever, or you don't prepare enough on Wednesday or Thursday, it bites you in the ass. So pretty much reading between the lines, sounds like they just weren't ready for this game, and it kind of showed. The Panthers aren't one of those teams that, it seems like they thought they were just going to show up and beat the Saints and just run the ball down their throats and do all that, and none of that happened. Rico Dowdle did score their only touchdown, but Tyler Shuck actually looked pretty decent. And overall, the Saints were able to get a meaningless win when it comes to the season, because they aren't going to do too much with the season. But it's a good win for Tyler Shuck, and it shows, like, hey, we can still win some games. I mean, especially after some of the trades they made, just to show, like, hey, we're still fighting, still playing. That was good to see. But like I said, that's a tough loss for the Panthers. That's a game you have to win if you want to be taken a bit seriously. And, yeah, the fact they lost that game, for me personally, it's back to, like, okay, so the Panthers are good but not, I mean, I don't even know if I consider them good. They're okay. But, yeah, that was just a bad loss. Bad loss for them. You can't afford to lose that game. And now you look at their schedule going forward. You got Falcons, 49ers, Rams, Saints, Bucks, Seahawks, Bucks. That was a massive win for them to keep their hopes in the playoff picture. After a loss like that, for me personally, it's like, okay, so this still is not a playoff team yet, but they took another step forward this year, it seems like. Yeah, and the move to Rico Dowdle as a full-time back was a good decision. But like I said, shout out to the Saints. Tyler Shuck, 282, 2 touchdowns, 19 for 27 passing. Bryce Young also played horrible for the Panthers, so that didn't help him out at all. He had a really, really bad game. Browns, they lose 20-27 to the Jets. This game was disgusting. If you were a better of the Browns, which I was, and I won't be doing again after this game. Justin Fields literally didn't have to do anything. He was 6 for 11 for 54 yards. And if you take away a 42-yard screen that he threw behind the line of scrimmage to Breece Hall, 12 yards. He was 5 for 10 for 12 yards. Special teams and Breece Hall on the ground did it all for the Jets. They ended up having a kick return touchdown and a punt return touchdown. The Browns they look horrible. I wonder what they're going to do. They looked horrible at least that day. Defense didn't look, they looked okay, I guess. They did what they needed to do, but when you give up 2 special teams touchdowns, and then offensively, they're going to stick with Dylan Gabriel, I guess, for now, but at a certain point, you think they're probably going to try out Shador here soon, because offensively, they still aren't taking the strides they need to take. Still not looking the greatest, is the best way to put it. Jacksonville, Houston. Jags lose 29-36. Jags are up 29-10 going into the fourth quarter. Gave up 26 points fourth quarter. Not a great look for that team. Offensively, they were able to do nothing as well. Davis Mills, though, shout out to him. He played really, really well. Earned himself some money for sure as a backup. Threw for 292, 2 touchdowns, had 1 interception. He was 27 for 45. Like I said, this was just a game where Jags just lost it. They were up 29-10 going to the third quarter, and you don't close that out. So now I know the Texans are a better team, but similar to the Panthers, that's a game where you can't lose that if you're trying to be taken seriously and want to take the next step as a team to become a playoff team and all that. Jags still might make the playoffs and might be able to flirt with it, but I think when you lose a game like that, too, I understand Texans defense is a lot better than the Panthers and all that, but that's a game you're up 29-10. You close out that game, you win that football game. Like I said, I look at Trevor Lawrence a little bit like, what is going on there? But I don't know. We're going to see. Colts still have to play the Jags twice, I think, so anything could happen with the division, so I don't want to jump the gun too much because there's still improvements this team can make, but you got to win that game when you're up 29-10. But shout out to the Texans for not giving up and finding a way to win. That's one of those games hey, might have not been the best of games, but you find a way to win, you celebrate the win, you take the good with the bad, and you move on to next week. Probably one of the best games of the day. Patriots 28, Bucks 23. If you watched our show on Wednesday, really should have taken the Patriots. We basically said, hey, we're hoping other people pick the Bucks and we're going to lose points with them. We'll talk about Pickem on tomorrow, but for Pickem Thursdays on a Wednesday. But not the... we're going to have to start catching Keith by picking opposites. This is one of those games, I wish I just took the Pats because we would have gained some points on him. And they win 28-23. I thought there was a chance they might win this game. They played really, really well. Their rookies played good. Their defense played good. Their offense played good. Special teams played good. They got everything they could have had happen to play good happen for them. Kyle Williams, he made a sighting for a 72-yard touchdown. Travion Henderson, man. 55-yard rushing touchdown. 69-yard rushing touchdown. And that's a guy who's had him in fantasy. I've been waiting for this moment for 10 weeks. So this was watching Travion just go off like that was... Now, don't lie to you. The Colts fan of me, a little bit pissed the Patriots only had 4 or 5 years of losing. But, fantasy owner of me watching Travion Henderson go off was just yeah, finally. I'm just so glad to see him get some... I'm just so happy to see him get some run time because he's a really good and talented running back. He's really, really fast, too, as we can see. And it's nice. It's just nice to see, one of those things where you're just man, I thought this player was good. Why is he not playing? Then you see him make plays like this, okay, so he does got it still, at least. That's awesome to see. And like I said, Patriots really, really needed that. It sucks it took an injury to Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, and their fourth stringer, Terrell Jennings, to allow their third stringer to get some work. But, man, it's awesome to watch him get some run time. I'm curious to see how that goes, especially with Ramondre coming back here soon. It's one of those situations similar to Rico. You can't just bench. You can't just bench 147 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns when the Buccaneers, as a team, haven't let up a 50-plus yard rusher all season. And like I said, Mecca Ibuka, I didn't say this, but like I was going to say. Mecca Buka, 6 receptions, 115 yards, a touchdown. Baker didn't look too horrible. They just got off to way too slow of a start. New England was able to score a touchdown in each quarter pretty much, and in the middle part of the game, the Bucs just stalled a little bit on offense in a couple key drives, and I think that's just what ended up putting them in. This is one of those games, I mean, they did score, I guess, a touchdown with 33 seconds left. Very, very garbagey, but this is a game where I don't take away too much from the Bucs. It's more of a, man, the Patriots might be really good. That's like, I'm taking away from like, okay, the Patriots beat the Bucs on the road, and they look pretty damn good doing it. We talked about it, and we're going to talk about it again in a minute. Drake May, plus 300 for MVP. He's balling out, man. I mentioned on the show a couple times. I'm in fantasy, so I've watched Patriots games a lot more closely than normal, just because I want to see how he plays. By the way, shout out to me in both leagues. I was able to get Daniel Jones and Drake May, so I got to watch my team a lot more closely, enjoy the quarterback play, and then I got to enjoy watching this guy play, who is just special, man. Drake May is just special. That's the best way to put it. He's gonna be good for a long time. It's starting to look like. Patriots got themselves another one. They did it again. And Monday Night Football, Eagles win 10-7. Ugly game, but hey, you need sometimes as a team you need to win these to get some confidence and just prove to yourself like, hey, we can win the ugly one. The biggest takeaway for me on this is just the Packers' offense is just very, very vanilla. There's some throws, like there was a throw deep to Christian Watson that honestly they probably should have won the game if Jordan Love throws it a bit more to the sideline instead of straight up the field to allow the safety to get involved in it. There's just little stuff like that you notice all throughout the game, just kind of like, man. And it makes you just wonder about this Packer team. Because now it's been a couple weeks in a row Jordan Love's played kind of meh. It's been a couple weeks in a row that the Packers defense is balled out, but they, like I said, offense plays kind of meh. So now they fall to 5-3-1. Eagles are 7-2. Probably very clearly going to win their division, by the way, but this is a good gutty win by the Eagles. As for the Packers, I just leave with a few more questions of just like, what are you as an offensive team? Losing Tucker Kraft seemingly is going to be a massive loss for them at this point. So, curious to see if they can get some any production elsewhere from somebody else to make up for it. And Josh Jacobs, he's going to be good, but I think they should probably let Jordan Love throw the ball a little. I don't know. Their offense is, I don't know what it is directly because, yeah. I was going to say they should probably let Jordan Love throw the ball a little bit more, but I don't even know if that will help. Like, I genuinely just don't know what's wrong with their offense for it to look like this. But, like, maybe it's just too vanilla. Maybe they need to add more. Not 100% sure. But that does it for the actual week. Let's go over some news. We already talked about that. The Eagles knew the play call on the Packers' fourth down as well when they stuffed them, which goes to show you, like I said, that a little bit of the play calling stuff, which is kind of like, okay. But Singleton, shout out to him. He had a surgery for testicular cancer on the day after Thursday Night Football. Apparently he got drug tested. They found some extra stuff in, I think it was like HCG, something like that. I think it was HCC. They found extra levels of that, but he knows like, hey, I don't put that in my body. What the hell? So we got tested. Ended up having cancer, which that's one of those things that's like, hey, that's awesome that people and also a reminder, I guess, to go get checked up here soon. But that's one of the things that's awesome. I get when you go to get like your checkup and for the NFL, I guess like, hey, I know the drug testing sucks and it's kind of stupid sometimes, but it's one of those things where it's like moments like this make you realize like, okay, so that's kind of awesome that the drug test is able to be like, hey, this is off. What's going on with this? And you're able to find out that, oh shit, I had testicular cancer, and we were able to get it solved before it became an issue. Pretty awesome that we're just to that point now. Jets Garrett Wilson's going to miss 3 to 4 weeks with a knee sprain. That's a tough loss for them. Dan Quinn actually is going to take over defensive play calling duties now for the Commanders. I don't know how much that's going to help them at this point with how bad their defense is this season, but maybe it'll be a little bit. Josh Simmons returns to the team. As of right now, him playing is up in the air. I really want to know what's going on. With him. That was a really weird situation. Joe Burrow's returning following he's throwing one day his window is open, so he's going to return following a turf toe injury. Gronk is going to retire as a Patriot. Apparently he's fulfilling one of his friend's wishes. Apparently, this is a pretty cool story. Apparently, ceremonial contract was suggested by a local philanthropist, Susan Hurley, with whom Gronk developed a close friendship with his extensive charity work. Apparently, she just in August when he unveiled a new playground in Boston he donated to. Apparently she just said, can we just make it official and sign him sign him for Patriots today so he can retire. Now he's making that promise, so kind of cool. That's a pretty cool story to read about. Deron Payne's going to be suspended a game after punching Amon-Ra St. Brown. That was insane. I wish flying a wall in that moment to kind of be like, I wonder what was going through his head or what was said. The man just want to smack a buddy. But yeah, I think that's going to do it news-wise. I don't think there's anything else really that we missed. Oh, Paul Tagliabue did pass away at the age of 84, former NFL commissioner. And then, I did miss this. There's apparently a poison pill thing, and that's what they're calling it. And Micah Parsons' contract that basically makes it to where he can't be dealt to the Eagles, which is kind of funny, kind of petty, kind of hilarious. But hey, that's the Cowboy. That's Jerry Jones for you. But yeah, that's like I said, that's gonna do for the news. Let's take a look at just some of the betting market and go over some of the odds for not all, but some of the stuff. Because there's let's look at some of the awards market and just take a peek to see what's changed. We already talked about the MVP, Drake Mays plus 300. We'll do the awards first, then we'll jump back to the divisions and conferences. Drake May plus 300, Matt Stafford plus 300, Jonathan Taylor plus 500, Mahomes is plus 600, Josh Allen plus 700, Darnold plus 900. I truly, at this point, I think it's Jonathan Taylor, Drake May, Matt Stafford. It's a 3-horse race. I mean, Sam Darnold, maybe, but I don't know if he hasn't. I mean, he only had to throw 12 passes in the last game, so that kind of. I mean, for him personally, it kind of sucks, but for the Seahawks, there's such a good team all around him that might hurt him just a tad bit. Offensive Player of the Year, Jonathan Taylor's favorite, JSN behind him, and it's pretty much just those two, and then massive odds for everybody else. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year, he's the leader in the clubhouse, and it's Micah Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson, and Nick Menino. I think I'd have to lean Mike as of right now, just because how important he's been for their defense. Emeka Ibuka is the leader for Rookie of the Year at minus 120. Then you got Jackson Dart plus 150, Tyler Warren plus 550, and then it drops off a cliff. So, come on, Tyler Warren, hang on, baby, just hang on. Carson Schwarzenegger is plus 185 for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Abdul Carter plus 380. Nick Emmanwori is plus 430. Jahad Campbell, who was the favorite, is now plus 700. So that just goes to show you they aren't for sure in that market. So if you have a good inclination of somebody you like, might be a decent time to jump on them because, looks pretty wide open. Mike Vrabel plus 125 for Coach of the Year. Shane Steichen plus 140. Then it's Mike McDonald plus 450 and then drops off a cliff after that. Kind of happy because if Shane Steichen wins, it's awesome for the Colts. If Mike Vrabel wins, hey, we bet on that and gave it out at the beginning of the year, so that's going to be one of those we can brag about, which is pretty awesome. Comeback Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey's plus 120, Dax plus 150, Aiden Hutchinson plus 400, and that's pretty much the race there. If you look at the conferences, to be the 1 seed, Patriots are plus 210, Colts plus 250, Broncos are plus 500. I will say the Patriots might be in play for that because their schedule is dumb easy. So they might be a 12, 13, 14 win. I mean, they could be like a 12, 13 win team, like very, very realistically. For the Colts, one thing I am excited about when Jonathan Taylor plays the Houston Texans, normally he plays them really, really well. Like that's a team, T.Y. Hilton used to go off on that team. Now it's Jonathan Taylor. So there's a chance like that eliminates 2 of the tough games. But Colts do have some really tough games upcoming. To be the 1 seed in the NFC, you got Eagles plus 175, Rams plus 230. Seahawks plus 390. Any of those 3 teams would be the 3 teams I would choose, honestly. Lions are right behind them plus 700. But any of those 3 teams, if I had to pick, those would be the 3 I'd choose. Division-wise, before we move on to college, Patriots are minus 270, Bills plus 210 in their division. Kind of crazy that Pats are probably going to win that division with how easy their schedule is. The AFC North, Ravens are minus 250. How'd they know, man? How'd they know? And their schedule is pretty easy down the stretch versus Steelers plus 260. Kind of tough schedule moving forward. Colts are minus 425. Jags are plus 500. That win against the Jags for the Texans put them at plus 1,300, so they're kind of lingering, but not really. Kind of Colts division to lose at this point. Broncos are plus 130. Chiefs are plus 145. Chargers are plus 330 for the division. I might have to sprinkle the Chargers, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. I might bring that up tomorrow. But interesting there. Eagles minus 4,000. I mean, they're going to win their division. We don't need to read that one out. Lions are minus 120. Packers plus 170. Bears are plus 700. If I had to guess, the Lions are probably going to end up closing it out, especially with how shaky the Packers have been lately. Bears have a kind of tough schedule moving forward, and then the Vikings are the Vikings right now. Bucks minus 650 win their division. Panthers are plus 800. Falcons are minus 1900. Yeah, that's the Bucks division to win for sure. Rams minus 130. Seahawks plus 140. Niners are now plus 1,000. So it's between the Rams and the Seahawks, it seems like. If I had to guess, Seahawks might steal it, but I think I have to stick with the Rams there. So that does it for that portion of the NFL. So that basically covers NFL Week 10. We close the chapter on that. Tomorrow we'll go over Week 11, look ahead to some of that. But before we finish out the episode today, let's go over some college real quick and just go over some of the scores from the last week. So to start it off, we'll go to Friday's night game. UCF almost pulls it out, but Houston wins 30-27. Tulane, Memphis. Tulane wins 38-22 or 38-32. Memphis tried to come back, just weren't able to claw fully back. So tough loss for them. So starting to look like South Florida or James Madison might be one of the two favorites to get in the college football playoffs as that Group of 5 team. Northwestern, USC. USC wins 38-17. Purdue gets smacked by Ohio State. Notre Dame smacks Navy. Indiana with the game of the day against Penn State. They win 27-24. Insane catch by Omar Cooper Jr. I don't know how he had able to keep his foot to hover. Don't know how he was able to do it, but that was a really impressive win against Indiana. Because I'll admit, I kind of forgot myself. Like that crowd was riled up, and Penn State, like they might be 3-5. But that's still a really hard place to play, and those boys obviously came to play. They played with a lot of juice. That was a game that, hey, we can ruin Indiana's season. And just see Kirk Cignetti, how cool and collected he was before the game, saying like they never played this and we've never played here before. However, he said it was awesome. Then he goes back and then he says stuff at the end of the game. I mean, love that dude Cignetti, man. He is a coach I would have loved to play for. Georgia 41-21 over Mississippi State. They controlled the game throughout the first half, and hey, when they do that, they usually play pretty well. SMU, they win 45-13 against Booty Cheeks. Texas Tech wins 29-7. They were forcing a lot of field goals, but they absolutely dominated that game against BYU. If those two teams play again, which is starting to look like that's potentially going to happen, probably going to be a similar spread. I am very curious to see if BYU is going to be able to hang, because they were not able to hang today, and Texas Tech looked great in that game. R&B Temple, James Madison, they go to improved 8-1. They beat Marshall. Like I said, them and South Florida are going to be two teams to watch. West Virginia wins by 7. They're able to cover for us, and I don't know how they were able to cover, but if you watch into that game, we ain't going to talk about it too much. We'll take the cover. Ole Miss beats the Citadel, bad. Eastern Michigan beats Bowling Green. Also, Indiana not winning, not covering, lost us our nasty boy. Or sorry, Indiana did win, not covered, lost us our nasty boy this week. Heartbreaking. Rutgers, they ran all over Maryland. I want to shout out their running back, Antoine Raymond. 41 carries, 240 yards for 1 touchdown. Ran all over Maryland. And I'm not going to lie to you, that season win total, we've been waiting for September 20th for that to cash. That may never cash, I'm not going to lie to you. They might not win a game the rest of the season at this point. I've lost a lot of faith in that team. Miami wins 38-10. Oregon escapes with the victory in Iowa. I mean, that was shout to Dante Moore. He had an awesome drive to end the game. That was one of those like, okay, hey, that's a guy's guy type drive, and you got to be a guy to do that. And also shout out to Mendoza. He also had that similar in his drive. Iowa State, they beat TCU 20-17, which very, very tough loss for TCU and their chances for the Big 12 title picture. Arizona beats Kansas. Duke loses to UConn. Tough loss for Duke. Texas A&M, they beat Missouri. Sorry, I lost my place in the sheet a little bit. Vanderbilt, they're able to win in overtime against Auburn. Gutsy win and comeback for Vanderbilt. Wisconsin beat Washington. That's a massive loss for Washington. That's your season isn't over, but you probably aren't making the college football playoffs now. That's that type of loss, and I won't lie. I forgot I bet their season win total over. Not 100% sure if I gave it out or not. I think I might just bet on the side by myself. Yeah. Really nervous about that now, too, all of a sudden. This was a game they should have easily won. They don't. Now it's like, okay. Are you going to hit your season win total? North Carolina beat Stanford. Shout out to Cal, man. Chandler Morris did get hurt, but Cal, they beat Louisville. Wake Forest, they beat Virginia. So two of the top ACC teams, gone. They lose, and they are going to shake up the college football playoffs drastically when we see that tonight. Clemson's able to beat Florida State. Florida State, you got to think they're moving on from Mike Norvell at the end of the season. Alabama handles LSU. Kentucky blows out Florida 38-7. I wish I took Kentucky. A lot of the people I were listening to were like, hey, get on Kentucky, get on Kentucky. I stayed off it, and boy, was I wrong to stay off that. Shout out to Utah State. They win for us to get their season win total over hit. Nebraska beats UCLA. UNLV blows out Colorado State. Sam Houston gets their first win of the season against Oregon State. Oregon State is now a team that's just, man, are they starting to get a little bit sad, just like Oklahoma State. And then Hawaii, 38-6, ass beating of San Diego State. Yikes. That is a tough loss for San Diego State, who's, because of that loss now, any Mountain West probably not getting to the college football playoffs. San Diego State was a team that might have been able to do it for them, but that loss probably hurts them a bit. Let's go to the top 25. Okay, like I said, the top 25. You got Ohio State still at 1, Indiana at 2, Texas A&M at 3, Bama 4, Georgia 5, Ole Miss all the way up to 6, Oregon at 7, Texas Tech at 8, Notre Dame at 9, Texas at 10. They just climbing, boy. Oklahoma 11, BYU 12, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Utah's at 15, Miami, USC, Michigan, Louisville, Virginia comes in at 20, Tennessee 21, Cincinnati 22, Pitt 23, James Madison 24, USF 25. I won't lie to you, some of these are kind of interesting where they're at, but all this should kind of play itself out a little bit once we get to that point in the season. But now, like I said, we're going to look at the college football playoff and see what. So, now, going from the top 25 to the college football playoffs, you had Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, A&M 3, Bama 4. Those are all your teams getting a bye. You had Georgia playing Memphis, Texas Tech playing Oregon, Virginia playing Ole Miss, BYU playing Notre Dame. BYU lost. They're probably going to be moving from that spot. Virginia lost. They're for sure out. Memphis lost. They're for sure out. So we got already 3 of those changing. Feels like that's going to be happening a lot these last couple weeks, especially with how crazy college has been. That you're going to see a lot of shuffling, a lot of moving around. I feel like we're pretty set on. I feel like unless something crazy happens, IU, Bama, A&M, and Ohio State feels like the 4 they're going to get the byes. I mean, Texas Tech might be able to sneak in and do that, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I don't think probably another SEC team that gets a bye if I had to guess, but as of right now, those are kind of my predictions. Those 4 teams are going to be the ones getting the byes. Thank y'all for watching. Thanks for the support. Really do appreciate it. Crazy to think that tomorrow we're going to be talking Week 11 of the NFL, Week 12 of college. We're already 3 months into the college football season. We got Week 12. We got Week 13. Yeah, it's sad. We got Week 12 this week, Week 13 next week, Week 14 the following week. And that's it, man. College football's over. We'll have some conference championship games. Then Week 16 we'll have Army, Navy. And then we got bowl games, college football playoffs. We only got 3 weeks left there. NFL. We got, I think, 5 left. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm dumb. 8. I'm dumb. I was thinking of fantasy. There's 5 weeks, I think, left of fantasy season. That's what I was thinking, a regular season. I was not thinking NFL season. NFL, we still got 2 months left. College football, until playoffs at least. College football, we got just under a month left. Time is absolutely just flying. Insane to think about. Tomorrow I'll be back with Pickem Wednesdays. Pickem Thursdays. They might as well be Pickem Wednesdays at this point. But I'll see everyone in this feed tomorrow to go over my picks, bets, everything for Week 11 of the NFL and Week 12 of college football.